There's a battle being waged right now for the most valuable territory in existence. It's not for land, it's not for resources, it's for the space between your ears. And in this war, you are both the battlefield and the architect of your own victory.
You've probably heard this idea from the great mythologist Joseph Campbell. He told us that the greatest treasures are always found in the darkest places. He was talking about dragons and myths, about caves and stepping into the great unknown.
But let's ask a different question. What if the cave is your own mind? What if the most terrifying monster we have to confront is just the silence, the quiet that's required to truly hear our own thoughts? Well, that's the journey we're starting today.
Okay, so our journey begins right here, right now in the modern world. It's a world that demands more from our minds than ever before in history, while at the same time, it's getting better and better at absolutely devouring our attention.
A writer named Cal Newport just frames this perfectly. See, we live in a world that pays for deep work, that thoughtful, immersive focus, but we are drowning in a sea of shallow distraction. Every notification, every scroll, every little ping, it's a small concession. We're outsourcing our thinking, and honestly, with it, we're outsourcing our future.
And this idea, it just feels so profoundly true, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Solitude, the very state where we figure out who we are and what we really want, has become something we're actually afraid of. It's something we immediately try to mask with a constant stream of noise.
And this is exactly why we have to fight back. And look, it starts so simply. Just find 15 minutes. Go for a walk. Leave the digital world behind for a moment and just step into the analog world of your own thoughts. It's not even about the walk, really. It's about reclaiming the time to just be with yourself. So, once you've managed to carve out that little bit of space to think, you have to decide what you're going to stand for. Because to win this internal war, you are going to need an unshakable foundation. Let's dig into this idea through one of the most powerful examples in all of history. Go back with me to 480 BC. A massive Persian army is standing before this tiny force of Greeks, led by just 300 Spartans. The odds, they were impossible. The Persian king, Xerxes, he actually offered them their lives. And the price? All they had to do was lay down their weapons. Just concede their principles. The Spartan reply was just 2 words, Milan Labe. Come and take them. It was a declaration that their principles, their very identity, were not for sale, not at any price. And that is the heart of the Spartan mindset. Now, that invading army, it represents so much in our own lives, doesn't it? It's the difficult circumstances, it's the pressure to conform, it's our own self-doubt. Conviction is the strength to look all of those forces in the eye and say, this is mine, you cannot have it. This connects to one of the most profound truths ever discovered, one observed by Viktor Frankl in the most horrific circumstances imaginable. He realized that the outside world can take everything from you, but it can never, ever have power over how you choose to see things. That freedom is innately, unshakably yours.
Okay, so with that foundation of conviction, you gain a new kind of power. Not just the power to withstand reality, but the power to actively shape it. You actually become the architect of what you experience.
There was this brilliant guy, a Nobel Prize winner named Daniel Kahneman, who identified what he called the focusing illusion. He put it this way: nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you're thinking about it. What he meant is that our focus doesn't just observe reality, it magnifies it. In a very real way, it creates it. So the question becomes a pretty simple metaphor, right? In the garden of your mind, what are you watering? Are you focusing all your energy on the weeds, the doubts, the fears, all the reasons why you can't?
Or are you choosing to nurture the flowers, the possibilities, the gratitude, all the reasons why you will?
And that leads to maybe the most honest and maybe the toughest question you can ask yourself. When the pressure's on, when you're all alone with your thoughts, are you your own greatest ally or are you your own worst enemy? Because what you choose to water is ultimately what's going to grow.
Being on your own team. Well, it means making choices that serve your future self. And that requires understanding this profound difference between two very different types of pain.
As the speaker Jim Rohn once said, we all must suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And the difference between them is it's stark. See, discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons. That daily sacrifice is so light compared to the crushing weight of what if?
And look, this discipline, it isn't a punishment, it's a process. It's a beautiful upward spiral. You start by realizing there's more for you. Then you find the courage to step out into the unknown. You're gonna make mistakes, that's part of it. But then you learn to trust yourself through all that turbulence. And then you celebrate, you adjust, and you begin the whole cycle again, but from a higher place.
And that brings us right here, to the final and honestly the most crucial stage of this entire journey. It's not about finishing the race. It's about finding the courage just to take that first step.
You know how our greatest goals can feel like these impossible 2,000-ton boulders sitting in front of us? Well, that's just an illusion. The real task is never to lift the whole thing at once. It's to see that it's really just a collection of small, manageable pieces, and to have the courage to just pick up the first one.
The victory isn't waiting for you at the finish line. The real miracle, the one that truly changes everything, happens in that quiet, powerful moment you simply decide to begin. You are the architect. You've reclaimed your focus, you've built your conviction, and you now understand the power that you wield. The plans are in your hands, so the question is no longer if you can build your future, but when are you going to start? Do you know there's this silent contract most of us sign with life? It's the one that says we have to do what's required, that our days are just supposed to be filled with obligations, duties, and all these burdens. And look, we tell ourselves this story so often, we start to believe it's the truth. But it's not. It's just a cage built out of words. And today, we're here to shatter that cage. This is all about rewriting that contract, realizing that every single challenge isn't a requirement, but a choice, a really profound and powerful choice. It's about finding the will to finally begin.
So this really is the question, isn't it? It's at the very heart of any meaningful life. I mean, think about it. When comfort is so easy, when the path of least resistance is just wide open, why would anyone choose the hard road? Why would you invite the struggle, the doubt, the discomfort? Well, the answer to that question, that's what defines the boundary between just existing and actually truly living.
And boom, there it is. That's the reframe that just changes everything. See, this isn't about what the world demands of you. It's about what you are capable of demanding from yourself. You know the real tragedy in life? It isn't failure. It's the untested life. It's never knowing what your limits really are, how much grit you truly have. So the question isn't, why should I push myself? The real question is, what essential part of me dies if I don't? Okay, so let's really dig into this fundamental shift in how we see things. It all starts with understanding that the very things we've been taught to run away from, effort, sacrifice, even pain, they're not obstacles, not at all. They're actually the raw materials for growth. They're not some kind of punishment for being ambitious. They're invitations to go out and discover just how ambitious you can be. Now, this is so important. Think of these as two completely different operating systems for your life. On one hand, you've got the have-to mindset. It's passive, it's always waiting for instructions from the outside world. When it feels pain,
It sees a big red stop sign. But then, you have the why not mindset. This one's active. It sees that exact same pain not as a stop sign, but as a runway. You know, the friction you need for takeoff. It doesn't wait around for a reason to act. It creates its own reasons, right from within.
So if this why not mindset is where all our potential is hiding, what's guarding the gate? Well, the answer is almost always the same old thing: fear. Specifically, the fear of discomfort. And I'm not just talking about physical strain. I'm talking about that deep psychological pain of looking like a fool, of being the absolute beginner, of failing, while you feel like everyone is watching.
To get through that gate, you have to do something kind of radical. You have to reclaim and totally redefine the idea of the fool. See, in this context, the fool isn't an idiot. The fool is a hero. It's the courage to be brand new at something. It's the humility to stand at the bottom of a huge mountain with no gear, no map, and nothing but the desire to climb. That willingness right there, that aspiration, that is the single most powerful tool for change you will ever have.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's like an unbreakable law of mastery. Greatness isn't something you just arrive at. It's the end of a long journey, and that journey has to begin with that first clumsy step of the fool. I mean, think about it. Every single master you admire in any field started out by embracing that vulnerable feeling of not having a clue what they were doing.
So when that feeling hits you, and trust me it will, that little voice that says, "You don't belong here, you're an imposter," I want you to recognize it for what it really is. It's not a final judgment on your worth, it's a compass. It's telling you you're heading in the right direction, into new territory. It's just like jumping into a cold pool. That initial shock is intense, but you acclimate. The feeling is temporary, but the growth you get from it, that's permanent. The only real failure is just standing on the edge forever, never jumping in.
Okay, so how do we actually conquer this fear of being the fool? Well, this leads to a really crucial realization. The answer isn't about trying to add something you don't have. It's about unleashing something you've been pushing down. It's about stripping away all those layers of what you're supposed to be and rediscovering the powerful, authentic person you already are. This right here, it isn't just a clever quote. It's a dead-on diagnosis for so much of our unhappiness. I mean, how many of us are like that fish, just exhausted from trying to climb trees day after day? We judge ourselves by the wrong standards, we play games we were never meant to play, and then we take the failure personally. But here's the thing. The problem isn't that we're inadequate. The problem is we're in the wrong environment.
This lion metaphor is the perfect way to think about it. I mean, imagine a lion in a cage. It's a sad sight, right? Its power is gone, its instincts are dull, it's defined completely by its cage. But what happens when you open that cage and release it into the wild? You don't have to teach it how to be a lion. It just is. Its purpose becomes instinct. That power was there the whole time, just waiting for the freedom to be let out.
And this brings us to a tough question we all have to ask ourselves. What are the cages in your life? Are they limiting beliefs? The fear of what other people will think? Maybe it's a career you chose to please someone else. Look, the first step to freedom isn't about breaking the bars. It's realizing that you were the one who locked the door in the first place, and you've been holding the key this whole time.
All right, we've talked a lot about the mindset, we get the why. So now let's get practical. Let's talk about the how. How do you actually turn all these big ideas into real action? The answer you'll see is both incredibly profound and, well, almost laughably simple.
The world is constantly telling you that to do anything great, you need some secret, complicated formula, right? A perfect plan, a 10-step blueprint to success. But that's a myth. It's a lie, really. And it's a lie designed to keep you on the sidelines, to make you a spectator in your own life, convinced that you just don't have what it takes to even get in the game. But here's the simple reality of it. Step 1, just show up. That's it. That's the hardest part, just overcoming that initial inertia to get started. Just get yourself to the starting line. Step 2, move. Don't overthink it. Don't play out all the worst case scenarios. Just take that first action. And step 3, the real engine of all progress, don't stop. Just put one foot in front of the other. Focus only on the very next step. That's it. That is the entire game. So here's the biggest secret of all. There is no secret. Those huge successes we all admire, they're not the result of some single giant leap. No way. They are the result of thousands of tiny, seemingly meaningless steps, stacked one on top of the other, day in and day out. It's basically compound interest, but for your effort. One small action might feel like nothing, but 1,000 of them, that becomes an unstoppable force. Which brings us to the final, unavoidable truth. Okay, so if the mindset is a choice and the process is actually simple, then what's left? What's the only barrier still standing? It's the myth of the right time. And our final job here today is to completely demolish that myth.
Let me be crystal clear about this. Waiting for the right time is just the most elegant form of procrastination there is. The stars are not going to align for you. The clouds aren't going to part. That perfect moment is a fantasy. It's an illusion you're using to justify not doing anything. The only moment you actually have is right now.
And you have to let yourself off the hook. Release yourself from the pressure of perfection. Your first attempt, it's going to be clumsy. Your first draft is going to be a mess. Your first step will probably be awkward. And that is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you've started. A flawless beginning is a complete fantasy, and it will keep you trapped as a prisoner of your own potential forever.
You don't need to read another book. You don't need anyone's permission. You definitely don't need a guarantee that it's all going to work out. The single, solitary, non-negotiable requirement for this moment is simple. It's to just finally begin.
This is the ultimate truth. You are in charge. The obstacles that you think are out there, they're not really in the world. They're in your head. They're in how you see things. The only thing standing between you and everything you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. The moment you decide to write a new story, you become the author of a brand new reality. And in that reality, you are unstoppable. And so after all is said and done, we're left with the only question that actually matters. The time for thinking about it is over. The era of making excuses is done. The power is yours. The moment is now. So I'm asking you, what will you begin?